Hey everybody, welcome to Climb the Ladder for our 145th episode presented by Washed Up Network. I'm your co-host Hunter, and my equally good-looking twin brother Duncan is sitting right here with me. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in each week. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes and Spotify. You can see two of the same face when you head over to YouTube. This episode is brought to you by Rugged Roots, who brings us the best in beard products. Use code LADDER20 at ruggedroots.com for 20% off your purchase. As always, let's climb the ladder.
Hey everyone, excited for episode 145 and excited to announce that UConn is officially the men's national champions. Also shout out to Kona Big Wave, best beer in town. Also shout out to the LSU Lady Tigers for the women's national championship. And we're hoping, I don't know about Hunter, but I think we were both rooting for the Aztecs. Mountain West was hoping that they could pull it off and make it happen. But we do have a guest that we want to call in and just get a few thoughts. He's actually a current San Diego State student. He was there at the arena when they were watching the upset over Florida Atlantic on Saturday. So we'll take a pause here, call him, and see if we can get the firsthand perspective of what it was like to have a run through the tournament. All right. Hey, Lucas, we are excited to have you on Climb the Ladder. We wanted to give you a call really quick and get your firsthand take and experience on what it was like through the whole dance. You're a current San Diego State student. I know you were at the arena last weekend and yesterday, if I remember correctly. And we just we're going to get a firsthand experience from someone who went almost all the way, but just fell short. How are you doing, Lucas?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yeah. How was
crazy ride.
Yeah, tell us, well, take us way back, 2 or 3 weeks ago. You guys made the berth, and we're also fellow Mountain West fans with Boise State. Obviously Mountain West has a bad reputation for being, one and done in the round of 64. Take us way back to the round of 64 and then kind of walk us through how it was as the Aztecs just kept moving on.
Yeah. So the past 2 years, SDSU got out first round. They were a 5 seed this year playing a 12 seed. So pretty skeptical about that. It's a pretty cursey matchup. But, they won the first game. I was like, okay. And they played Furman the second game instead of number 4 Virginia, I think. So I was like, that's a winnable game. Then they did win, and then they moved on to Alabama at that point. And I thought they were going to lose that game for sure, and I think most people did. And then that game's kind of like the turning point. Like, wow, this is like a serious team. And
Yeah, so pause on the round with Alabama. I was actually just talking to somebody about this yesterday. I feel like every school does the "We Want Bama" during football season, and it's so common to want to see if you could beat Bama because usually they're one of the best at every sport. What was it like when you guys beat Bama and you're like, holy cow, we're moving up in this thing?
yeah, it was good. I think the whole country was rooting for us. Nobody wants Alabama to win. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, they have a really good team. They put some NBA players on that team, so it was really nice to meet them. Yeah.
I have to, Lucas, if you can hear me, this is Hunter. I just got to say, I was at the final home game in Boise when Boise State was battling it out with 2 games left of the Mountain West season, trying to take over that first place before going to the Mountain West tournament in Vegas. And I did see the Broncos top the number 18 in the country Aztecs in what ended up being an electric game. San Diego State was ahead pretty much the entire game until the very end. But that one was cool to see in person. And just knowing that Boise State men's basketball beat the Aztecs, who made it all the way to the end, is a pretty good feeling.
Yeah, it is. It's good for Mountain West in general. I mean, basically, it's the first time they've done good in the tournament in a while.
Yeah, I
always
mean, to me, hopefully it shows like, okay, yeah, the Mountain West had a bad rap, and San Diego State very well could get an invite this summer to the Pac-12. But for now, it makes the Mountain West look really good, and that it's not just kind of a joke that people worked through.
Yeah,
So, San Diego State knocks off Bama, which is obviously a huge deal. And then San Diego State wins the next two games by 1 point each. Walk us through the Creighton victory obviously was big, and then especially the FAU upset in literally a buzzer beater victory.
yeah. Both those games were just like insanely nerve wracking. I mean, I was like sweating through the whole thing because they were played into the last second. The Creighton game, we hit a free throw to put us up by one with like 3 seconds left. And then they had to throw it down the court and it went out of bounds. And that's how we won. It was just really exciting finish. Our defense at the end, our forward or center, Nathan Mensah, he had like 4 blocks. They just couldn't score on the paint.
That's wild. I mean, just to think about how close that one was and with how it ended, and then carrying that momentum into the FAU game is just wild to think about.
Yeah, I think there was certain buzz after the Creighton game. It's like, okay, now we're in the Final Four playing FAU. This is our time now. And yeah, I mean, we're down 14 to FAU the second half, which was that's a huge deficit. Came back, played lockdown defense at the end, and a buzzer beater shot to win it. That was crazy.
Yeah, tell us, because I watched it live on my phone, literally the last 17 seconds. I turned it on, and I'm so glad I did. You were in the arena, and I saw videos of it on Twitter. It looked like it was a sold out basketball game, but you guys were just watching on the screen, which is so cool. What was that atmosphere like as soon as you hit the buzzer beater?
Yeah, I mean, everyone just jumped up, cheered. We stormed the court. There was like the chairs that the bench players sit on, like those were being taken apart and stolen.
Oh no.
It was just this crazy moment. Yeah.
That's I can just picture it. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. And then I'm sure the atmosphere yesterday was just equally as electric. Obviously, coming in as the underdog to what everybody knew was a very tough UConn team. And even though the result wasn't exactly what we wanted, give us the final feelings of, I mean, just playing for a national championship is incredible. And then you getting to be a student in that environment. These guys will be walking the halls next week again, which is crazy. What was that like just to be part of that culture and environment?
It was really special. This was like the first time where I felt like this was like a big sporting event for SDSU. I mean, every other basketball game was kind of less compared to this. Football, it's not nearly as big as this. It was just like an honor. It felt like to be in the championship and to be able to play this late in March Madness.
Yeah, that's so cool to just have that experience. I mean, most people, when you ask, if they went to a college when they had a national championship team, or even a team that played even in the Final Four or something, you don't get that often. So that's really cool, and really just appreciate your insight and that firsthand perspective. It's pretty special to be able to be part of that student body that was really just embracing the team, and we were rooting from one step removed as just fans of the Mountain West, and obviously came up short. But I think we can all remember this Aztec run as something that'll go down in history, and hopefully they come back hungry next year, regardless of if they're still part of the Mountain West or if they make the jump over to the Pac-12.
Yeah, I'm excited for next year. I think all the basketball games are going to be sold out. And there's already been people that are touring SDSU. They want to go there now. Yeah, it's just, I think it changed the culture there a bit.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm sure that's the biggest recruiting tool that they've had in decades. So I bet the student population increases pretty quickly in the next couple of years. Well, Lucas, appreciate you, man. Thank you for just providing a little bit of insight from what it was like to have boots on the ground on campus. Hopefully we'll go get them next year and have another shot at the title, but really appreciate your time, man, and good to catch up for a little bit.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, go Mountain West. We'll get you back on here for a full interview here sometime in the future.
Thanks, Lucas.
Thanks for having me.
All right, talk to you later, man. Bye.
Bye.
Man, that was cool to I mean, for somebody that we know to be there, to be in person, to just feel like literally in that atmosphere, because he was at the watch party. What was that for the Elite Eight?
For
And
the
then
Final Four and for the Natty.
at the watch party or in person for those?
Oh, no, watch party.
Watch party for both of those.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, to think like for us to imagine Taco Bell Arena just packed to the seams, like that's how it was when I saw Boise State beat the Aztecs for that final home game this season. It was packed. But to not have anything on the court and everybody's just watching and literally down to the final seconds. I mean, that's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Pretty incredible victory, especially Elite Eight and Final Four, winning each game by 1 point. I mean, those are 50-50 baskets. You don't know if they're going to go in or out. And it's just cool that we're sitting here talking about not only San Diego State and UConn, but really what was one of the most historic NCAA tournaments in history. I mean, the gameplay was amazing. Teams are getting better. We're not seeing a bunch of ones and twos. This was the first time ever that a 1, 2, or 3 was not in the national championship. And it's pretty cool to see a 4, 2 5s, and a 9 in the Final Four, all playing at a very high caliber. I think FAU will be back stronger than ever next year. We'll see if San Diego State can retain talent as well. And UConn was dominant at the end of the day, and it was really fun to watch some of these matchups. Obviously, every number one getting upset, which never happens in the round or in, the big dance with 64 teams. And yeah, pretty cool to have Lucas's perspective. For those of you who don't know, he's my sister-in-law's boyfriend at San Diego State. And I mean, he said registration numbers are up and tours are happening. I mean, already a great location to go to, so I can't imagine the increase in popularity this week.
Yeah, man, that's wild. Like to have who would think like Mountain West representing, and then is that a foreshadowing for on a bigger scale football? This is the last year of the 4-team NCAA playoff. So maybe we'll see, if they do go to a bracket or if it is truly the top 12 best teams. One thing that I just found out, just kind of a side note for football, but I was talking to our good friend Joey Giglio, friend, family, I mean, all the above, and the SEC next year it's either this year or it's next year when Texas and Oklahoma join, they're getting rid of the East and West. So it'll be one entire SEC with 16 teams. And you look at that, like, then you can have an Alabama and an LSU. You're not breaking it up because how it is now, it's the winner of the SEC championship. But those could still be the top 2 best teams in the country. So they should both deserve a spot. So anyway,
that's how you got to do it, no matter what the conference. I mean, Ohio State and Michigan, another great example. They're both in the East, and one of them loses out on making it to the playoff. Pac-12 does that too. If you have two better teams in the North and the South, let them play.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we could talk about football 12 months out of the year, even though it's not football season. But what do you say? Get back into the diamond. Again, congrats to UConn men and the LSU Lady Tigers for both of their respective championships. Um, I mean, not top dogs by any means, but they showed that they deserve to be there and they proved themselves. So,
Yeah, pretty cool to see. Well, let's start with your Mariners game experience. You were at the game last night. First Monday game, which is crazy. We're a week in to the season. Not even, we're on our second series of the season. So you got to see
yeah,
them square off against the red hot Angels. And yeah, give us your ballpark experience, give us what happened, and then we'll dive into the weeds a little.
yeah, didn't even know when we recorded this time last week that I'd be going to the game, but with our cousin Kelsey and aforementioned Joey, um we put together last minute and grabbed the $10 value tickets in what ended up being an exciting Monday night game at T-Mobile Park.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. Glad you got to go. The earlier you can go, the more games that you'll get in this season. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, love dunking with the rally towel for those on watching on the YouTube. But yeah, it was fun. Unfortunately lost it and the Mariners are kind of on a skid. Um But all that to say, great opening night. The Mariners came out and dueled against I was gonna say the Indians, but the Cleveland Guardians in a 4-game series, which I'm surprised that they opened with a 4-game to start. Um, but there was some good baseball played. They were all close games, with the exception of one, and then last night kind of got away from them. It was back and forth, and dude, to see Otani in person, he hit
It's
it
so fun.
just about as far as it could go. I mean, the center field is 401, and he probably just crushed the home run 405 with
Dang.
just casual 2-run shot. He trots it around. Um, we can get into all the rule changes and everything, but let me say, as being in person, it does make the game more exciting. The
Mm,
game was done like just before 9:30. It felt like it flew by. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes maybe.
wow.
Um,
Where it used to be like three and a half, 4.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty interesting to hear because obviously a lot of controversy as the season starts. Kind of looks dumb on TV, but I bet being there is a whole different thing.
Especially with the shift, seeing that,
Mm,
like, balls that would be hit right to the people. I know we talked a lot about it, how it'd be like handcuffing the defense in the NFL, but I think it's different. Like, seeing where guys are still lining up, like they have to be in the dirt. There has to be 2 guys on each side of second base. I like it.
yeah, I think that that'll be good for the game in the long run, but I did like the shift. Like I'll always be a sucker for it. So, um, tell us what it was like as far as park environment. That was the fourth game, I think, of the season, and I was at the last game of the last season. So, I mean, decent crowd for a Monday night. What's the energy like? Obviously, we're off to a slow start, but what are we feeling?
Yeah, great energy. They have electric factory signs all over. Um, Great concessions, revamped menu like we talked about. I didn't get any of those spendier options that we were talking about ballpark eats last week. Um, just because this was like a last minute throw it together, grab some popcorn. I brought the seeds and I our section was right by the value beer, so $5. but I opted for a couple of Miller Lights. Miller Lite actually has the majority beer sponsor for T-Mobile Park, which is huge.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so big. They have a whole It's Miller Time campaign. In between innings and on the camera, on the screen.
They got to get Brad Miller back. That would be a good tie.
Yeah. Yeah, true. But yeah, actually, I mean, if we ask, we'll have to have Joey on here sometime soon, but he was like, man, I think I've hit every night of the week except Monday while living, because they live in Seattle.
Yeah.
And he's like, this Monday crowd is hype. And I agreed. I mean, usually it's like, okay, like a Tuesday, maybe mix it in, but like Wednesday, usually like there's some Wednesday matinees. Thursday, obviously been to a Thursday. Friday, ring in the weekend. But Monday it was a good time. Kind of a quiet crowd. It was cold. It was like 40 degrees. They ended up closing the roof, but there was no rain.
Nice.
But yeah, good crowd. I could only imagine. I mean, I bet like Thursday through Sunday will be almost at capacity all season.
Dang, that's pretty cool to hear, and I'm glad that they are, and hopefully they start to turn it around because they are at the bottom of the West, sitting at 1-4 right now. I think we got a little bit excited when they won their first game of the season against the Guardians and have been on quite the skid since. I think I predicted in their first 19 games that they would go 14-5. So unless they can go on a 13-1 run, I might have been a little bit off, but hopefully that gets proved wrong here soon. The one team that I have been thinking about, and it's showing already, is the Rangers. Obviously, Corey Seager is over there. They made a lot of offseason moves, and it seems like there's a lot of hype around the Rangers this year. They're actually sitting behind the Angels technically on paper, but they're both tied at 3-1. I don't have faith in the Angels unless they can stay super healthy, because obviously with Trout and Ohtani, anything's possible. But the Rangers are a concern early on, and obviously we still have 160 games left in the season, or 158. But we've got to get the Mariners in a habit of winning.
Yeah, I mean, just looking, for when we played the Rangers, I'm confident here. I know, we still got some work to do. We got to start it off hot and clean it up. But we have the Astros and the Rangers at home to start the month of May, which will be huge.
Yeah, and I'm hoping with the loss to the Angels last night, opening that series, and then two more against them before we head to Cleveland to have another three against the Guardians. Hopefully we can start to pick up the pace a little. I'd love to see us take the next two to win the series against the Angels, and then go into Cleveland and win at least two, if not all three there.
Yeah. I read a couple things after the disappointing loss last night, first division matchup of the season, which those will be another factor, being pretty different this season, just with less divisional matchups. We won't see the Astros, the Rangers, the Angels, and the A's, what seems like every other series. It's going to be a lot more spaced out. Sprinkle one or two in a road trip, one or two in on a homestand, but we're going to see a lot less of them now playing every team in the league. But one thing with that, I saw Scott Service, Ty France, Julio, Colton Wong, JP, and Kelnick. They were all saying, hey, we know we're not playing our best baseball. Scott Service straight up said that. He said, hey, I know these guys are capable of so much more. And actually, the energy in the locker room after the 7-3 loss to the Angels on Monday night, they said that it felt like a postseason loss. It was that
Wow.
heavy of the guys are owning it. They're wearing it. Cal was in there too, and he said, I
Yeah.
know these guys are capable of so much more. And he put it on himself too and said, I know we can play better baseball. We just have to dig in and do it. And so I don't know if it's gonna take, because you always think like home games, but maybe this road trip they'll just go out and dominate. And it's like, hey, this is who the Seattle Mariners are on the road, and they're gonna represent out there. So
Yeah,
they're definitely capable.
they'll hit their stride. They go Cleveland and then Chicago and then back home against the Rockies. And I think if we can hit our stride, find some momentum there, if it's already weighing on the guys, and we do typically play better away, which is funny to think about. I think we'll make it happen. I think we're gonna start seeing quite the turnaround.
Yeah, me too.
Well, we're excited. Obviously 1-4, not where we want to start the season, but that's why it's a marathon, not a sprint. And if it was the Seahawks and they were 1-4, big concern. Mariners 1-4.
Yeah, I have to say on that, Hannah and I sat down. We watched Thursday and Friday night, both games all the way through. It's pretty rare that we get a Friday night at home, just not bouncing off to go meet somebody for dinner or being somewhere. But we didn't have anything to do, so we turned on the game, of course, for opening night, and then followed it up Friday night. And we watched the whole game. That one was disappointing at the end, but she turned to me and she's like, there's 160 more of these. And so, yeah, buckle up. We're here.
Yeah, we're ready for it. Well, they'll turn it around once they hit the road. Hopefully they can take the next two against the Angels. But let's get into a little bit smaller scale, get into some segments, always brought to you by the Great PNW Apparel. Head over to thegreatpnw.com, enter code climb20 for 20% off your purchase. They've got a bunch of new spring stuff, stickers, hats, t-shirts, and more. So make sure you head over there, get all of your Northwest apparel and merch. But we're going to talk a little beer league softball. Hunter's a couple weeks into the season. Mine is less than 2 weeks out. And man, I got out on the field yesterday for a little scrimmage action, and it just felt good to be back.
Feels good. Yeah. I'll open it up just because we're 2 weeks in. Yeah, already week 3 coming up. Setting the roster tonight. But yeah, it came out strong. I don't know if we talked about it last week, but week 1 opened it up with a 17-11 victory. Felt good to have the guys back. We're rocking. And then a disappointing loss for week 2. We were down 6-4 to start the 5th. We were the home team, and they went on a 2-out rally, and we were on our backup pitcher, and just a whole bunch of things. Kind of chased them around one time, and they got a hold of a couple, went yard. The league that we're in is a 2 home run max, not progressive. Last season we played a progressive, so it was 1-1, or it was 2-1. But we just the bats weren't as hot as we hoped, and we ended up getting mercied on that after only being down 6-4. Lost that one by 12. So
Yeah,
yeah,
gotta get the bats going.
happened really quick. But yeah, guys, we're just hitting into it. We got to find the gaps. So coming into week 3 pretty strong.
Nice. Yeah, love to hear that. We'll be right behind you. Schedule came out yesterday. Good thing we haven't started yet because it's still snowing and raining. So hopefully the forecast stays intact and we'll get some sun next week. Dry the fields out a little bit, and then we will be in business on April 17th, I think it is. So we start 2 weeks from yesterday on Monday, and yesterday we did get out there against one of the other teams in a different division, just a friend of a team, and got a little scrimmage action going. It was, pretty casual, kind of felt like preseason anyways, but we did where everybody got to hit 3 times. And on the third one, it was live. So gave kind of a hybrid BP and field, real life scenario action. And it was just good to see the guys, get some rust off, get the shoulders going again. I'm even a little sore from not even throwing and swinging that much, but just to get the mechanics going, even simple things like cutoff and situational where to go, felt good. So excited to get back out there. City League softball coming up quick, 10 games, going to go by fast, but excited to get some nice weather, get the fresh bag of seeds for the season and get going.
Yeah, what's your seed bag of choice? Because all the mechanics will come back, but you got to have the recipe.
Yeah, I dug out of the road trip snacks bag about a half bag of cracked pep spits. So probably go grab one of those and a dill to get me going for the season, and we'll see where I go from there.
Nice. That is a good perk on those fields. We played just normal dirt and grass in the fall season, but we're back on 100% turf, infield and outfield. So unfortunately, no seeds.
Yeah,
But
double bubble on turf.
yeah, true. And we got the Coors Light pregame, so
Nice.
making it happen.
Yeah, can't go wrong with the good old 13th player of the cooler.
Yeah, well, yeah, we got a late one this week for beer league softball. We got the 8:30 start, which is the
Nice.
latest. And hey, hoping to make the magic happen under the lights.
Yeah, good luck out there. Keep us posted, and everybody send some good vibes over to Seattle so the Mariners can get some wins going, because we're excited. We're here for it, and the World Series run starts now.
Yeah, it's early. We're through 5 games. We got number 6 tonight. So 2 more games against the Angels, and we'll see what happens, but especially against division opponents, few and far between, got to make them count.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed March Madness. Officially put a bow on that. Few days into April, and thanks for tuning in to episode 145 with us. We're quickly approaching episode 150. Got some guests that we'll get on here in the next few weeks, and for now, we just appreciate all the support.
Yeah, thanks guys. Make sure to go check us out on YouTube. Let us know what you're looking for, because it's baseball season. Can't believe we're 5 games in. We'll be done with the first week here soon, but man, we're having a blast, and we can't do it without you guys, the climbers.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. And as always, let's
Climb the ladder.